Jedi, like my father before me.
Okay. I don't even know how to even start this, but I've been wanting to do a video for a while. I just didn't know, I just still really don't know why or whatever. I'm doing this more along the lines as a test, but I've had a lot on my mind, especially about the Star Wars community and given the state of Disney Star Wars at the moment. Yeah, the toxicity. So I should be one of the ones that really doesn't care about what people think and whatnot, but I think it's destroying the very fan base that George Lucas created. And I'm not okay with that. A lot of us, and I might be assuming now, but I think a lot of us became fans because of George, and we owe a lot to him. And Disney took over and a lot of things changed. A lot of us had a lot of high hopes, and some of us not so much, because it's no longer George at the helm. So basically, in a nutshell, I want the positivity to come back again. I loved it back when everybody was just like talking about, Clone Wars episodes, the one Filoni did with George, and it just, everybody was happy. There might have been minor disagreements, but it was civil. There was nobody at each other's throats like it is now. I miss those days. And hell, I grew up in a time where liking Star Wars, you got bullied for it. I got bullied for liking Star Wars. I started out on the original trilogy because that's all I had at the time. 1994, the summer of 1994 was when I first watched the trilogy, even before the special edition. So technically, I watched the original theatrical versions. So yeah, and then the prequels came out, and I love the prequels too. I remember 15 and watching Phantom Menace in our dollar theater when I was up in Iowa with my dad, and I went like 3 times a week, as long as it was showing. I would collect aluminum cans and recycle them so I can have enough money to freaking go see it. And Attack of the Clones, seeing the Clone Wars, even a snippet of it in live action, blew my mind. Because back in 1994, when Obi-Wan was talking to Luke about the Clone Wars, none of us had any idea what the hell it was. And now we got to finally see what it was. And then you got the micro series that came out in 2003 to kind of bridge the gap between Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith. And the Revenge of the Sith came out, and it was a great time to be a Star Wars fan in those days. I'm not saying it's not now. It's a lot more up in the air right now. Disney has done some kind of good things and kind of not so great things. And it doesn't take a rocket science to figure out which is which. So I don't want to say I'm a weird kind of fan, but it's like, I like some things that people don't, and I don't care whether they like it or not. I don't care about that. It's not going to change how I feel about it in the slightest. But what bothers me is there's people out there that are afraid to express their opinion because of how toxic it is. And, I used to be one of those people. Hell, I was toxic back in 2017 when The Last Jedi came out. To the point to where I was arguing with people online trying to argue that it was a good movie because I was in denial. I was hurting on the inside, and I was trying to deny what was going on. I did not want to admit that my favorite character that I grew up with was ruined, in my opinion. Not everybody's going to feel that way, but that's how I felt. I kind of grew up in a farm setting, okay? I felt like a nobody. And Luke was kind of the person that I connected with and be like, hey, you know what? That could be me, It's because of him and that character that has kind of helped me be strong enough to get through difficult situations and help me be a better person. But enough about that. The Last Jedi just, it did something to me that no Star Wars film has ever done before. It hurt me. And, Force Awakens wasn't the greatest, but at least that had some hope at the end of it. Seeing Luke grab his lightsaber that he lost in Empire, which is technically Anakin's. I don't care who anybody says. It's not Rey's, it's Anakin's. But yeah, I was in denial so much, I was actually going after other people and I was being toxic. Simple as that. I was a toxic person. It wasn't until I was in an argument with somebody who actually gave me a really, really good argument as to why it was bad, and he gave me some good points. And then I did something that I didn't think it was going to happen. I actually thought about it. And you know what? It's got to make sense. And that's when I started accepting and moving through that for me. I understand there's people out there that praise The Last Jedi for what it did. That's fine. Good for you that you enjoyed it. I'm not taking anything away from you at all. By all means, go enjoy it. But for me, I actually started, I don't want to make it sound like some freaking therapy session or whatever, but I mean, being in a fandom for as long as I have, and for as long as a lot of other people have, there's people older than me that's been in it longer than I have. It did something to me that I didn't think was ever going to happen, and I guess I should have been prepared for it, given that, Disney's track record. But anyway, my point is I've been on both sides of the argument. I've been the toxic one, and now I am not the toxic one. I am more of a lurker now. I don't even argue anymore because there's no point in arguing. People already made up their mind. They just want people to join their side. That's all it's about. It happens in real world issues too. But I think we can get back to that positivity like we had before. If we just come together and we can discuss things that we don't like, that we disagree on, but we could still have a civil disagreement. We don't have to be at each other's throats. We don't have to say, oh, you're stupid, you're not a Star Wars fan. If there's only one piece of Star Wars you like, you're a Star Wars fan. It doesn't matter. If you hate a part of it, like a part of it, you're still a Star Wars fan. You don't have to love all of it. You don't have to hate all of it. You're still a Star Wars fan. It doesn't make you less or more of a fan just because you disagree. And this is something that people need to understand, okay? I didn't enjoy The Acolyte, all right? I'm not alone in that. But there are people that did. That does not make them a less of a Star Wars fan. They are still a Star Wars fan. You don't have to make sense of it. It makes sense to them. That is the point. You don't have to pick their brain to find out what's wrong. There is nothing wrong. They just see something that we don't. It's that simple. And we need to come together and realize that kind of stuff. Because the fandom is falling apart, okay? And we need a strong fandom in order for us to move forward and finally get great content. Because I think it's gonna come down to us standing up to Disney, or us just like we're already doing. There are already fans out there that are making projects that are even better than what Disney's done. That's subjective. I know that could be argued depending on the person, but for me, that's how I feel. I've seen some fan stuff do things that Disney should have done but didn't, and did it on a very smaller budget. Looking at you, Acolyte, I'm like, come on. This is, and I love fan projects. I've watched quite a few of them. I actually would love to be part of a fan project. But, anyway, I wanted to keep this kind of short and sweet, to the point, whatever. I want to create content. I want to be a little bit different than what everybody else does. There's a lot of people out there that create content. I love what they do. I respect what they do. I don't want to copy them. Not even accidentally. I don't want to do it. All I want to do is cover Star Wars, have my own personal take on whatever I'm talking about, whatever I'm covering, and I'm only going to cover the stuff that I like. That's that simple. I'm not going to cover what I don't like, because if I don't like it, I'm not going to be motivated to do it. So, how I start it, how I do it, I don't know. I'll have to figure that out. But for now, I just want to help bring the positivity back to Star Wars, because it's there. I have hope, okay? Rebellions are built on hope. Anybody that's been watching Andor, You know where I got that from. But anyway, may the force be with you.